Hey everybody, my name is Rob Woodbridge from Untethered.tv. What you're about to see here is a clip, a short clip of a much longer episode. It can be found on Untethered.tv. So if you really are interested in this, go to Untethered.tv, do a search for this title, and you'll find it there. But enjoy this short clip. Welcome, Sampo. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you spending some time here with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay, so I have been proclaiming, I have been talking about moves since it was launched. Since I saw this app, I nearly died when I saw it. I tried it out, almost immediately fell in love with it. Now I use it every single day. I check it 10 times a day. For those people who have not heard about what Moves is, can you describe what Moves is?
Yeah, sure. So Moves is an activity tracker for the rest of us. It makes your physical activity visible and helps people kind of understand their life. It's also like an automatic diary of your life. So it shows the places you've been to and the activities you have done. And we think that by making the everyday activity visible, we make people more mindful about their everyday life. And we think it kind of helps people build kind of intrinsic motivation to move more and have nice experiences outdoors and things like that.
Well,
So it's really designed for people who don't consider themselves as kind of active sports people. It's for people who benefit most from kind of everyday walking and cycling and kind of that type of activities.
you know, it took me by surprise that just in the course of a day, without I'm an active guy. I go to the gym quite often, and I pride myself on that. But it just I never thought about how much I walk during the day, up and down the stairs, around, pick up my kids, go to school, in the grocery store, and all of a sudden I'm realizing that to get an extra 4, 5, 6, 7 kilometers in your day. That's what the typical person is walking, that they're not even tracking. So this really does give a glimpse into that. It's pretty. I mean, as I said, I've extolled the virtues of this for 3 weeks now, and I love this app. And but I think that it signifies a greater shift in this kind of passive data collection world on these mobile devices that I want to talk to you about. But before we even dive into Moves, who are you, Sampo? Like you're in
Yeah.
Helsinki,
So my background is in virtual hotels. I founded this company called Sulake, which made a Habbo hotel, a virtual world for teenagers. We started like in year 2000, so it's quite a dinosaur in the internet age. So I was the chief creative officer, the co-founder of the company, and built this Habbo world for 10 years. So we kind of reached the 50 million euro annual revenue level around 2008 or so. And but eventually I kind of got a little bit bored with virtual worlds and games in general, and I moved on. And for the past 1 year, I've been fully focused on building Moves. So kind of a serial entrepreneur with Habbo behind me.
So how did you make that transition? You raised a little bit of money for Moves, 1.6 million. Was it euros, or it was 1.6 million euros that you raised for
That's dollars.
dollars? Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you make that transition from this virtual world that you've been doing for what 10 years into this? Why make that transition into this kind of app or this kind of business?
Yeah, well, I've been, let's say that I've never been really like a games person. Like when we created Habbo, we thought it's more like an open playground. We were much more interested in the kind of open-ended play aspects of Habbo, how people and teenagers came up with their own activities, events, games inside the environment. So it's a little bit like Second Life, but it's in your browser and it has this kind of pixel retro aesthetics. So it's much more approachable because you can just go to the website and start to use it immediately. And well, I've been always kind of interested in kind of this kind of quantified self or just documenting my life. So I did a number of experiments like some years ago, trying to record all kinds of digital stuff that I leave behind, collect it to my hard disk, and try to analyze in different ways. And this is kind of a continuum of that train of thought. And together with the other Habbo co-founder, Aapo Kyrölä, we first founded Habbo, and now we founded this Move. So we kind of continue together.
The concept of continuous or always on in the background,
Mm.
you know, that really appeals to me because, you know, as I see this, is that there's now a battle going on for, and maybe you can talk about this, there's a battle going on for the front screen. There's studies that have been done in Germany around, you know, the way that people, there are 7 different ways that people organize their apps, right, on the front screen and in folders, by categories, by actions, by activities. It's very in depth, and it's all of a sudden becoming a profession to study how people put apps on their devices, and so it's so competitive. Now, what I love about this is that there are a few apps. I've seen it in Moves. I've seen it in this app called Flock, where it just runs. You launch it, you install it, you launch it, and it just runs. And you're not worried about front screen because it always is there. How? I mean, walk through the methodology that you guys went through. Is it you just want to be collecting data all the time, and this is the easiest way to do it?
Yeah, it's an kind of all-day activity tracking app, so it needs to run continuously in the background. And luckily, the iOS currently supports that type of a use case. At least, like it's an okay support, but it could be improved a lot. So I think Apple and of course Google, they could support the use case even better. But it's good enough to get started, and that's kind of the whole point of Moves, that it works continuously in the background.
And I think it's ushering in this new generation of apps, and I think that it's incredible. And so you talked about it very quickly about this, the technical challenges that you guys have gone through over the last year as you've been huddled around testing this application before launch. I mean, when did you start in the actual development of what is now Moves?
Well, the first prototypes of the continuous tracking was done like over a year ago. I think in December or January 2012.
Yeah.
So after that, we kind of set up the full team and started to develop the actual version and really built like a production quality product. But we had to do quite a lot of R&D to figure out the ways that we can conserve battery and try out all kinds of algorithms to recognize the activities. And also the places recognition was like another challenge that we were not quite sure if we're able to do it, but eventually we found out a way to do that as well, in addition to the activity recognition. It's been a lot of work. It wasn't like fully clear if we're able to do all of this, but well, luckily we learned some things kind of as we worked on it, and it's been great to be able to kind of show that it's doable with the current technology.
So obviously one of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome was with pervasive connectivity comes pervasive battery drain, right? So, I mean, you obviously worked around that, and through all your frequently asked questions and everything that I've read about you guys is that, well, this is an always-on piece of software. It doesn't always, it isn't always connected to GPS. It isn't always going out and draining your battery. So, I mean, obviously that was the biggest hurdle, would you say, that you guys had to get through this past year?
Yeah, we kind of experimented with the ways to make the sensor data and location data collection kind of adaptive, so that it kind of tries to understand what the user is doing, and, for example, kind of stay on the cell tower level location most of the time, and then when something interesting starts to happen, it goes to like uses GPS occasionally. And it's also like a balancing that when you're moving and we're showing the routes on map, like how accurate we want to make those routes. It's a balancing act between the battery and the accuracy. And for the kind of activity recognition, so that we really recognize whether it was walking, cycling, running, or some way of transportation, there we also kind of need to have quite a bit of data to make those educated guesses what was the actual activity, and I think it works pretty well. It's a good start, and we can improve quite a lot as we go along.